Many people will be familiar with the struggle of dragging themselves out of bed in the morning to get to work. For Tami Forbes, however, that struggle was tougher than it would be for most, given that she was a pregnant single mom working 2 jobs just to get by. That all changed, though, when a millionaire made her a truly incredible offer, and it left Forbes in tears.
Hello, wonderful people. I'm Dane Peterson from WonderBot. And here is...
This pregnant mom had to moonlight to make ends meet. Then a millionaire made her an enticing offer.
Before we begin, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos.
At the start of 2014, Forbes was recently divorced and heavily pregnant. She worked as a store manager in a small key lime pie business by day, while working shifts at a bar when time allowed. But that wasn't all. She was also raising 8-year-old twins, a boy and a girl named Max and Julia. Despite having 2 jobs, though, the hardworking single mom still wasn't financially secure. A significant contributing factor behind that was the fact that she would need a cesarean to deliver her child. And as she didn't have medical insurance, the operation would cost her thousands, potentially putting the procedure out of her reach. Trying to rebuild a life on a single income in this town was incredibly difficult, Forbes later told CNBC, explaining the hardships that she faced. I was very frequently picking which bill I could pay. Things were about to change, however. Forbes' day job was at the Key West Key Lime Pie Company. The business was originally opened in the 1980s by a man named Jeff Rowe. After failing to sell the company in 2000, however, he shut it down. It wasn't until 2006 that a new owner, Jim Brush, would take over the name. He started expanding the business, selling the iconic dessert to customers in the Florida Keys and delivering nationwide. In 2014, though, he sought to bring new expertise into the business. The man he reached out to was self-made millionaire Marcus Lemonis, star of CNBC's The Prophet. In each episode of the reality TV show, Lemonis provides a struggling business with expertise and support to help them get back on track. In return, Lemonis takes a stake in the company. Lemonis offered Brush $450,000 for 51% of the Key West Key Lime Pie Company, which Brush accepted. With his own money on the line, Lemonis set about transforming the company's production processes, starting with the pie recipe, which would now feature all natural ingredients. But Lemonis wasn't finished yet. The entrepreneur had learned of Forbes' situation and was blown away by the financial and emotional predicament that she faced. Furthermore, he was going to do something about it. When the show came to town and I was put on it, I was working 2 jobs, Forbes told CNBC. I was humongously pregnant and suffering both health concerns and horrible financial concerns. When Marcus came to me and said, "What are you going to do?" I smiled and said, "Whatever I have to do." Her work ethic impressed Lemonis, and he made her the offer of a lifetime. He explained that he needed her for the business to work, but that her unborn baby was more important than any pie we'll ever make. To start with, he offered the struggling single mom 6 months' wages to cover her maternity leave. But he didn't just do that. He also promoted her to a full-time leadership role and increased her salary to $1,000 a week. Forbes was speechless and burst into tears as Lemonis explained his offer. Instead of working every hour and still coming up short, she could focus on preparing for the birth of her 3rd child. On February 28, 2014, Forbes gave birth to a child who she would name Christopher. And with Lemonis' support, they could move ahead without worrying about debt or unpaid medical bills. Fans took to social media to express their love for the mom's story. On Twitter, one viewer wrote, "This is what makes everything worth it." Many others agreed with that sentiment, and another commenter noted, "Forbes is such a sweet and deserving person." The fairy tale didn't end there, though. A year later, Lemonis took Forbes back to the bar where she used to work in order to deliver some more life-changing news. "My confidence in the business is all because of you," he said to Forbes. "You have made my life a lot easier, and I say this from the bottom of my heart. I could not have done this without you." That's when the CEO offered Forbes 25% ownership of the business. 1 year earlier, she had been facing thousands of dollars of debt and an uncertain future. She was now a co-owner of the business that she had worked so hard to support. Forbes appeared to be astounded. She responded to Lemonis, "It's crazy. I don't have a bachelor's on the wall, and you see me as the owner. It's just that amount of confidence. It's what drives us to get bigger and better." Since then, Forbes has worked to inspire other women and to give them the same vote of confidence. Appearing as the keynote speaker at the Women's Leadership Forum in 2015, she offered the guidance that if attendees work it like they own it, then maybe one day they will. Forbes also advised working moms that they should put family first. Your business may succeed and it may fail, but your family is your one thing that's never going anywhere, she noted. When Forbes first arrived in Key West, close to 20 years ago, it was to become a pedicab driver. One can only imagine that it would have been beyond her wildest dreams that she would now be a business owner and an inspiration to single parents across America. Indeed, her life has been transformed over the course of her years in the Keys. "I think that the feeling that you deserve your success is something that everybody should have," Forbes said, reflecting on her journey while speaking to CNBC. "And I think because single moms tend to be the people that think of themselves last and the least, they are definitely at the top of the list of people that should feel that and be there."
Melissa Smith from San Diego, California wasn't sure what was happening, but she knew something was off when a panhandler started lurking around her neighborhood. One day she decided to follow the begging woman, but she never imagined that she would unravel a mystery that would send shivers down her spine. Hello, wonderful people. I'm Scott Leffler for WonderBot, and here is: this panhandler was a member of a secret crime ring, and no one had a clue. Melissa Smith from San Diego, California had seen the pregnant beggar asking for money several times at the East Lake Plaza during the weekend. The woman often held a sign that read, "Please help," and plenty of people did, but they had unknowingly been fooled. "I felt bad. There's a pregnant lady with a little boy who's down on her luck," Smith told ABC7 sister station KGTV. But she had no idea that the woman wasn't really what she appeared to be. Some panhandlers will just sit passively by a main road while holding a sign, hoping that someone will give them money. Others might take a more active stance and approach a vehicle or an individual to beg for money, but some of them barely make enough money to pay for one meal a day. Statistically speaking, most panhandlers only collect about $25 on a daily basis. About 94% of that money is used on food, but there are some folks who might find other not-so-noble uses for their cash. Most people give beggars money because they assume the person will use it to buy food, but some beggars spend their earnings on alcohol or controlled substances, which understandably helps them cope with the awful situation they're in. This is one of the reasons why so many people tend to ignore a cry for help. And even though there are tons of people on the streets who rely on the kindness of strangers, there was one panhandler who was willing to do anything to get what she wanted. It's not easy to turn away from a pregnant woman with a child holding a sign asking for help. When Melissa Smith first encountered the woman, she gave her all the spare change she had on hand. It broke her heart that anyone should have to suffer like this woman did. But Melissa didn't realize that she was being played. The East Lake Village Center had grocery stores, restaurants, dentists, salons, clothing stores, and more. So there were people walking around with lots of loose change in their pockets. But the pregnant beggar didn't realize that Smith was keeping tabs on her. After all, it wasn't easy to blend in with others when you're pregnant and living on the streets. In the span of 5 minutes, Smith witnessed 5 different people give the pregnant beggar some cash. Her heart went out to the woman in distress, but little did she know that the beggar was not that innocent or that broke. She'd seen the woman wearing dirty and stained clothes while standing in the scorching sun. On occasion, she saw a man with them and assumed it was the beggar's husband or the father of her children. But then the woman slipped up in a really obvious way. One day, Smith was getting gas at the station in the shopping plaza when she spotted the woman with her son at their usual spot. And then Smith saw something that made her question her own sanity. Was the poor, helpless, soon-to-be mom scamming everyone? Smith refused to believe it at first. After a while, the woman and her son headed towards a Mercedes-Benz. But Smith didn't assume it was her car because a beggar couldn't afford such an expensive vehicle. Smith couldn't help but wonder if the couple was planning on stealing the vehicle. But there was another explanation that would soon make itself known that made Smith's blood boil with anger. Smith continued to watch what appeared to be a car theft in progress. But the beggar opened the vehicle with ease, as if she owned the seemingly new car. And then she drove off with the man and her son. But this wouldn't be the last time Smith would run into her. Smith would end up seeing them again very soon. Smith shook her head in disbelief and eventually got in her car and drove off. But a short time later, she noticed the Mercedes-Benz was right in front of her on the street. Smith's jaw dropped to the floor when she realized that the beggar, the man, and their son were counting their money and laughing. But sadly, there was a sinister reason behind their laughter. Smith followed them as they drove to a McDonald's at a plaza on Bonita Road. But they weren't there to order burgers and fries. They were there to work the crowd over. Once Smith realized what they were doing, she was hopping mad. The beggar put up her sign while her partner parked the Mercedes, and in under 5 minutes, people were falling for her tricks. She was a scam artist, but Smith wasn't about to let her get away with it. She took snaps of the beggar. Smith took photos of the woman and the boy, but the beggar spotted her, got angry, and started shouting at her. And then the pregnant woman did something that was pretty unusual for a person in her condition. Next thing I know, she picked up this big boulder, Smith said. I don't know if pregnant people can do that, but it was pretty big over her head, and she was coming at me with this rock, Smith told KGTV. Smith was in trouble, but she wouldn't be for too long. Another eyewitness saw the entire altercation and called 911, but the couple had fled by the time police arrived. Fortunately, Smith had written down the beggar's license plate number, and she gave it to KGTV. The station soon started hunting the woman down, but sadly they hit a roadblock. The TV station ran the plates and immediately found the address to the woman's apartment in Encinitas, California. Unsurprisingly, no one answered when reporters came knocking on her door. But a woman later called the station and told them she'd moved into the apartment after the previous tenant left abruptly. And then someone spotted the panhandler and reported it to the authorities. Emily Valdez, a reporter at the local news station, got a tip that someone had finally seen the pregnant beggar. So she approached the woman and showed her the photo Melissa Smith had taken. But the beggar simply responded by saying that she didn't speak English. So Valdez turned to the woman's partner for answers. The man claimed he didn't know what Valdez was talking about, and then started talking to the beggar in an unfamiliar language before they fled the scene. But the reporter followed them anyway and quickly discovered that they weren't driving a luxurious car anymore. The panhandlers escaped in a minivan with their kids, who weren't even wearing their seatbelts. Despite Valdez's best efforts, the couple got away with the scam and the case went cold again. But then an ex-detective shed a light on the mysterious panhandler's identity. Leslie Albright, a former San Diego Police Department detective, had seen Valdez's interview with the fake panhandlers and realized that the man was speaking Romani. She'd been trying to disband an organized crime ring of gypsies for years. Unfortunately, they remained at large, and the beggars Valdez had spoken to weren't what they appeared to be. Detective Albright believed that the man and the woman were just co-workers, and the pregnancy was a scam orchestrated by the organization they work for. And she warned that they, or others like them, will continue to do this until they're brought to justice. There's a way to avoid being one of their victims. Homeless advocates suggest giving money to reputable charities like soup kitchens, shelters, and thrift shops, as opposed to giving money directly to beggars. This is a lesson that Smith and others in her community will keep in mind the next time they see someone asking for a handout.